Yes, please. Thank you, Capcom.
Thank you, Capcom.
Thank you, Capcom.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
What is up, peeps? I was scrolling through YouTube, looking for a long video to watch, and I stumbled across a video by Crowbcat. If you've been on this channel 4 years ago, you'll recognize that name. That's likely because you either heard of him, you'll heard of his name through recommendations, or because of my older video talking about Crowbcat. I was critical of Crowbcat in the Left Thread 2 vs Back 4 Blood video, but today, it's not gonna be about his Back 4 Blood video, but about his RE4 video instead. The Crowbcat video in question is Resident Evil 4 vs Resident Evil 4 Remake video. No, not that RE4 vs RE4 Remake video, instead a newer one. The old one was very controversial, and I'll bring up what people had an issue with on that first video, as well as my issues with it. Some parts of the video will be excluded. This is because Crowbcat's video got an age restriction recently, and I'd much rather not having that in my video, so yeah. Without further ado, let's get started.
Hear the Spanish music, you see the forest, that, you know, we're all shitting our pants. Obviously gonna be excited, obviously gonna play it when it comes out.
We are eating well as Resident Evil fans.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Except in the back of the players' minds, in the back of the developers' minds, there's this quiet, unspoken truth, which is, yeah, but if we're being real here, this is just a cash-in. This is not a legitimate artistic effort.
Of these games that they've been remaking, this is probably one that doesn't need to really be remade.
So, right off the bat, I know I'm gonna get a hate for this. I do agree. There is truth to that statement. There's not as much focus of the artistic design, and I already hear some people say I'm nitpicking. I think it would be nitpicking if there was just one small detail, one small example of it. But there's numerous examples of this, which we will get to soon. I don't think a remake was needed to be made either, at least in the current time, since the graphics still hold up today, in the OG, in my opinion.
It's like a sharp dagger. You see how the original, where it just has like a roughy, gritty edge to it, you can just see the difference when it comes to the creativity and originality.
The remake is soulless compared to this. It really is.
As I was talking about earlier, all of these things that are called nitpicks by Capcom fanboys will keep adding up. It just further strengthens the artistic design not being focused as much compared to the initial game argument.
They found a formula and they're just like, okay, now we could just remake anything we want. They're about to use that same formula to remake Code Veronica, RE5. They're just gonna do that shit until they've gotten as much as they can out of that engine.
I can honestly see that happening, especially when you consider just how many copies RE4 Remake sold.
This rework has been simply titled Resident Evil 4, as if to say that this is the definitive edition of the game.
Okay, so I don't agree with this one, of them implying it's the definitive version. I'm just seeing this as a different titling. I do find it strange though that they give it the year number to the older one, but not the newer one, or both. Another thing that's strange is that it doesn't have the word remake in the newer title. There was one response video to Crowbcat's video that got pointed out that this was the reason games should be called reimagined instead of remake. I'm still gonna call it a remake to avoid any confusion. Besides, I don't see the word reimagined in the newer title either. Hell, I haven't seen any other game have the word reimagined in the title. It's usually remaster or remake. Never have I seen reimagined. Not gonna bore you with the semantics any longer, let's just jump into the next point.
Just take the IP, the aesthetics, the branding of Resident Evil 4, and then they grafted on this lame Last of Us style ripoff with parries and stealth sections, and there we go. We did it. We remade the game.
It's a flicker. Yo, it really is The Last of Us. That's wild.
I wouldn't mind a Resident Evil game taking inspirations like this from The Last of Us if it wasn't for the fact that it's supposed to be a fucking remake. I much more prefer the inventory system in the old RE4, since it essentially pauses the game, similar to the James Bond watch in GoldenEye 007, you know, the one for the Nintendo 64 console. I can understand why Resident Evil 5 didn't have it, since it was focused on co-op play, but RE4 Remake doesn't have that.
What is this? I mean, the chainsaw guy was the marquee villain of RE4. He's on the cover. You can't just trivialize the guy who's supposed to strike terror in your heart by Sekiro dinging his ass off you with a knife.
Putting that lifeline in place where it's like, oh, we know we can block the chainsaw. We know we can block it, so we're not scared of it anymore. It takes away the tension. Whereas in this, you know you're going down when that chainsaw guy gets close.
The same thing that I said about taking inspiration from The Last of Us applies to the parry mechanic. I would have no problem with this for Resident Evil Village, but for a remake, I do take issue with it. A remake is supposed to be very faithful to the initial source material. Not as much as a remaster would, but still mostly faithful.
The menus in the original RE4 had way more character, dirty, rusty, reflecting the game's environment. Now the UI has this cold, clean, empty, minimalist look which doesn't suit the game, and even judged on those terms, it really lacks a sense of style.
This is more of a subjective point in this video, the game's art style. I prefer horror games having a gritty art style over a clean art style. For example, there's an Unreal Tournament mod called Killing Floor mod, which had multiple versions, which the art style changed a lot. In version 1.0, it had a very gritty art style, an old Silent Hill vibe to it. Then you had version 2.0, which had a very clean look. Version 2.5 went back to the looking gritty again, but not as gritty as the version 1.0, which is a shame because I love the initial gritty look. I think it just makes sense to have that art style in a horror game with walking dead creatures, much like what the guy in the video said. The grittier the better, in my opinion.
You'd go into a certain room, and before you even knew what was in that room, you'd have that safe room music.
Oh, there's no safe room music.
I don't know why there's no safe room music. Like, did Capcom just forget to add that to remake, or was it by choice? I don't care if they added in one that's not as good as the original safe room music. Just have something.
What are we doing? What are we doing? All these games are asset flips, dude. It's like literally the same thing.
This is Capcom we're talking about. Capcom is not shy from turning a franchise into a soulless product. Just look at the games like Dragon's Dogma 2, with the aggressive monetization there, and pay-to-win system in one of those Street Fighter games. It would be pretty shameless if RE4 Remake had something similar to that, right? Right? When RE4 Remake was announced, I had a gut feeling this would happen, since it was so close to the timing of RE Village release. That plus both RE4 and RE Village takes place in a village. Sun is coming, but I don't inherently have an issue with copying assets. Just don't overdo it. I can see why they're doing it. It saves time, and time is crucial in development. Don't overdo it, and tweak it a little bit, and it should be fine.
It still felt pretty open, you know, and it still felt like you could go anywhere, despite you couldn't. It still looked and felt like you could go anywhere.
It felt too boxed in and way too cluttered.
And that's kind of the go-to plan for the remake is whenever we want to make something scary, let's just make it cluttered, dark, and bloody. That'll do the trick.
And they're shoving it down your throat. They're shoving it down your throat. Every freaking piece of this game is blood everywhere. Let's plaster blood everywhere in terms of the aesthetics and in terms of just overdoing it.
I have no issue with adding a lot of blood. What's wrong with that? This is one of the things Remake did better than the original, if you ask me. As for the tight pathways, I can see what Capcom was going for here. They wanted to make it feel more trapped, trying to make it more scary that way, but I don't think it was implemented well here, since it looks too boxed in.
In the original, the reason why the chainsaw guy was scary because he looked more human. And this, it's just like fucking like dinosaur eyes. It looks stupid. It's fake.
Nah, it looks fine, man. It looks fine. It does look more human in the original, but I prefer the remake Chainsaw Man look over the original since it looks more creepier that way. With the blood, the eyes looking like that.
You cannot move and fire at the same time, nor can you strafe from side to side as you can in a typical shooter. This dynamic has an exceptional way of heightening tension, since your foes love to try to surround you.
Whereas now with the remake and its generic third-person aiming, you're never wondering what's behind you. You know what's behind you. You can just start aiming at all directions.
You can reload mid-reposition while angling the camera to keep an eye on the enemy.
I'm constantly like rotating the camera and checking where I'm like, what's behind me.
You don't have that whole risk-reward system of having to manage what's creeping up behind you.
Yes, they should have had the old controls that the original had, yes. All this does is make it more unfaithful to the original.
There's a lot of gun sway, and there's a lot of imprecision with your aiming in terms of actually lining up and firing.
Wow, how did that hit the box, dude?
Excuse me?
Holding down while aiming for a few moments will increase the accuracy and chance of a critical hit.
Like, did you see that?
Sometimes shot will stagger, sometimes they don't.
Are you kidding me?
Drop the girl.
This kid, dude, I kicked this guy and shot him in the head 4 times, and he's alive.
Yeah, this is inexcusable. If this was an older game, you could maybe excuse this. But when you look at the year this game was released, and the budget that went into this game, there is no excuse for this.
You can lure enemies to a door, push a dresser in front of it to block them, and then shoot through the door to buy yourself more time.
It's literally in the manual. It's in the hints section. You can shoot enemies through wooden doors.
You would think that the remake would be the one adding a wooden door you can shoot through and destroy, while the old one doesn't. But no, it's the other way around, somehow. Just a complete disappointing downgrade. If you're not gonna add destructible doors, at the very least add bullet holes to the door you shoot at, and allow players to wallbang the zombies behind it.
It is brightly lit, it is beautiful, it is ornate, and yet something's off. Something is wrong, but that wrongness is subtle and disturbing. So what did they do with the remake? They turned it into a generic horror show.
Blatant, like, fucking, like, oh yeah, this is spooky.
Fog does not equal scary. I don't know what's up with modern remakes always have to add fog, and their fog is like overdone.
Instead, they just add shadows and smoke and red light and blood and writing on the walls and, oh, isn't that so scary?
Hold on, I'm gonna have to stop you right there. This point is stupid. There's nothing wrong with adding a lot of blood to a horror game. And the same thing with the fog, by the way. Fog does make horror games scary. It's why the first Silent Hill game has it, but also for optimization reasons because, well, hardware limitations back then.
Is Resident Evil 4 Remake scarier than the original?
A little bit. I think it's the opposite. In the original, Leon would make jokes only in cutscenes and comms calls. So all of the cheesiness was confined to intermittent cutscenes and comms calls. In the remake, the cutscenes and comms calls are a lot more serious in tone. However, the remaining 95% of the game is punctuated by continuous quips and jokes from Leon while we were in the middle of combat.
I had to speed that one up, but I think you get the point. It does take away from the serious and scary tone they were trying to set, but I do think that the increased blood and fog balances it out.
For our game designers, affordance is a great way to communicate to the player what they can interact with or where they can go. It's not a single color that's important. It's using consistent color and shapes in the context of the environment.
I get it. Cheer up, Crowbcat. You taking notes?
Instead, why don't we literally paint lines in the level that the players can follow, even though it looks absolutely absurd?
I don't know what research and data they found from players, but clearly someone suggested to Capcom they need more guidance. They get upset when they get lost and frustrated, and they have a tendency to not continue playing. And that's why Capcom has plastered this game with nothing but
the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
I'm pretty sure Capcom did something similar for RE4 Remake 2. I blame game journalists for this, and people like DSP Gaming, who is so dense that they need the game to hold their hand. At the same time, however, Capcom could have made a way to do this without being this blatant, because this is lazy game design. When Valve made Portal 2, there was one time they relied on a poster with a big red arrow to make playtesters look up, and Valve felt shame when they relied on lazy game design like that. Capcom, however, doesn't give a fuck if the design of yellow paint is lazy. They are lazy bastards, so they're gonna use it many times.
You have those forced in-game cutscenes and Leon starts moving really fucking slow, or you gotta squeeze through this thing, or you gotta move that thing like an RE2 remake.
This is not a load screen. You think this is a load screen?
You got it? Sorry. I'm counting on you.
Can we just go?
It's open.
I owe you one.
Oh my god.
Oh no. Is this like a fucking section? It is.
It's a little annoying, but I prefer immersive, unskippable cutscenes over having to wait doing nothing in the game. Games haven't become advanced enough, and might never be advanced enough, to not have loadings. Best you can do right now is to hide the loading, which is what this section serves as a purpose of.
You're gonna take out the container boss and you're gonna put this shit in, dude?
That's not our policy. You have to order something from the lunch menu.
I don't want lunch. I want breakfast.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm really sorry.
Some people hated that section, and some people loved that section. I don't remember this chapter, so I can't really speak of it, if it was good or bad. If the section was bad, however, why completely remove it, and not just modify it like what Black Mesa did to Zen? Black Mesa, for those that don't know, is an unofficial Half-Life 1 remake.
I'm thinking to myself hey, did this part happen? And then it's it didn't happen. And I'm past it already. It seems like they've cut a lot out.
The stuff they've added doesn't begin to cover the worth of what we lost. You're creating a remake and it has less content than the original version that was almost 20 years old.
This is what I mean, dude. All they do is fucking remove shit. Why? It's a fucking remake, dude. Are you remaking the game or fucking what?
What? Come on, man. No rope?
There's a bunch of shit that is removed, and it's a continued tradition here with these RE Engine remakes.
For some reason, I do not see nobody talking about cut content in this game. To call out Resident Evil 3 Remake cut content and not call this game out for cut content, can't help you.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons I hate Resident Evil remakes. They always cut way too much out from the original game. Resident Evil 1 seems to be the least worst offender when it comes to this, but something all remakes of Resident Evil has in common is that they paywall costumes. Costumes, mind you, that were not paywalled in the original game. Fuck Capcom. Fuck them.
When they approached Capcom to release the original trilogy on PC,
Capcom literally met them with, why would you want the old games when we have the superior remakes? And I'm just like, huh?
Capcom must be high as hell when they made that statement. Must have been smoking the fuck out of that green herb healing plant. In no way is RE2, 3, and 4 Remake better than originals with the amount of content they cut. No fucking shot.
Can we please stop hiding the classic Resident Evil title call behind the OG soundtrack swap?
So that's DLC though?
Pay extra.
It's all in there. A little while after the game was released, new DLC was added into the game in the form of purchasable, exclusive upgrade tickets for your weapons in the shop.
You have a ticket, do ya? Nice.
All the decent attaché cases that are actually worth jack shit are locked behind the deluxe edition DLC that I didn't buy.
Unlocks additional treasures that cannot be found with the various treasure maps obtainable in the game. Yo, it seems a little
OP.
Yeah.
Way to win.
It does point them out to you, but it also just creates new ones that didn't exist before that. That's the pay-to-win treasure. This one right here. Sapphire, boom, that's an extra 4K that I wouldn't normally have. Like, that's so lame.
You know a Resident Evil game is fucking awful horseshit when it has microtransactions. Even if the game was free, that shit would be scummy as fuck to pull off. As if it wasn't bad enough, it has paid to win or paid to progress, and people still claim that this game is good. Yeah right, cope harder. Capcom fanboys will excuse the shit by saying it's a single player game, so why do you care? Even though it being single player changes nothing. Some fanboys brought up that microtransaction is optional, which is a retarded argument to make when the game has stuff that gives you an advantage through payment, like real money. So it's not optional when you're playing to win, now is it?
Notice that there's no interaction or any talk between the villagers.
You gotta be kidding me.
There's no vibe here. There's no atmosphere. You're getting nothing except gibberish now.
Huh? I don't know if it's gibberish or not, since I don't speak Spanish. What I can say is that the enemies are not really talking to each other behind the ambush like in OG, which is a small cut detail, I suppose. This one you could say is an nitpick of Crowbcat.
Where's the energy in the performances? I mean, they're shouting in the original.
¡Un forastero! ¡Ahí está! ¡Agárrenlo! ¡Cógelo! ¡Ahí está! ¡Mátalo! Ahí están. Matando.
You're not getting the delivery on these performances anymore.
Welcome, stranger. Obey. Obey the voice of our Lord.
The blood has accepted the gift. These characters sound like a parody of their former selves.
The graveliness of it sounds like a put-on, like someone doing an impression.
Voice acting in the remake isn't bad like how people portray it to be. It's decent, but obviously a downgrade compared to the original. If we want to talk about the bad voice acting in Resident Evil games, look no further than the original Resident Evil 1. That game was notorious for bad voice acting.
And I'm not saying this is literal shit, but it's certainly, in my opinion, is not a fucking 10 out of 10.
That night came the honeymoon.
Resident Evil 4 Remake is one of the best games I've played in my life.
Capcom has made essentially a perfect video game. I think it's one of the best games ever. Resident Evil 4 Remake might be the best video game remake ever made.
I think this is just how you perfect a remake. This is how you remake a game.
This may very well be one of the best games Capcom has ever made.
It might very well be the most perfect horror action game I ever played.
Resident Evil 4 Remake is a new bar, delivering not only a fantastic remake, but one of the best survival horror games ever, one of the best third-person action games ever, and one of the best video games ever, full stop.
This is the third highest Resident Evil score of all time. This right now is a 93 based off 90 critic reviews.
Capcom gets a lot of praise for their remakes, but still not enough.
This remake, I think, is 20 times better than the original. It's 100 times better. I'll never touch the original again.
This game is dang near perfect.
Rebuilt, refined, and realized to the full limits of its enormous potential.
Final score, 10 out of 10.
They remade a game
and they fucking honored it. They took RE4, they respected everything about it, and it's just as good or better, in my opinion.
Holy shit, the glazing is off the fucking roof on this one. You know, I got no issue with glazing something, only when it is deserving of it. This pile of shit is not worthy of anything close to a 10 out of 10 or an S tier. But that's the thing with a lot of the modern Capcom fans, a lot of them has no standards, and they will always glaze whatever next Resident Evil game comes out. When you bring up criticism towards it, or criticize Capcom, they'll defend it to the death like the shells they are. Like, dude, drop the fucking broom. The amount of sweeping that they often do when it comes to Capcom, when it comes to the criticism Capcom faces of their product, is insane, man.
Crowbcat doctored the audio levels of the RE4 Remake!
I knew something was off when I watched this video. And he did turn down the ambient sound. He did factually do that.
Turn the volume up, pendejo. Should I do that in-game? Audio. Oh, it's already maximum. Alright, I agree with you. So I'm gonna turn it up. I mean, it's already, I'll just put it on 100.
How far could he have gone?
Give me also 1 second. I'm gonna pause. I want to turn up the audio slightly. It feels, oh, I can't.
You should just boost, just put the master volume at the highest right now, because people are still saying it's a little quiet, but it got better.
It is.
When we increase
It's all the way.
Oh, it's already, oh, okay, great.
There's sound effects.
So, okay. Yeah, you could put everything up, I guess.
If game volume needs to be turned up, let me know. It might be a little low compared to Fatal Frame. Let me look in the game menu, actually. That may be better. Is everything jacked? Yeah, it is.
Is the game audio low?
Game audio's low?
Is it? I saw one person write it, so I want to see if the rest of the chat.
We've been adjusting it.
What about the audio? Some people are saying it sounds good. Some people are saying it's low. Slightly low. Volume's a little low. Well, it's all the way up.
How's the volume? I feel like the game's a little quiet.
Audio's kind of quiet.
Let's go to audio. Okay, game volume too low. Got it.
It's a bit quiet. Game's a little low. Make it a little louder.
I upped the game volume by 5 decibels. Let me know if I need to do more.
The game audio is maxed out. I can't turn it up any higher. I could check in-game. Yeah, let me see if I can raise up the volume. Audio, nope. Okay, so I have it as loud as it can be.
It's just quiet, guys. Like, I even had to raise up my goddamn TV, and it's still fucking quiet.
Audio's too quiet.
This game is actually quite quiet.
So the wind is down here, but then when there's the gunshot, that's right up at the top.
For a while, I thought he had accidentally lowered the volume too much, although other people thought he did it intentionally. I guess I was wrong. It was not accidental, nor with intent. Turns out the game is just really quiet, even on maximum volume. Yeah, not gonna lie, Crowbcat is vindicated on that one. Oh wait, there was the title change he may or may not address in this video. We'll see. We'll see.
All over social media, I just saw post after post after post.
This is not the first time G-Man Lives has stated something really retarded out loud. He was making a big fuss about people who chose to kill unarmed GTA NPCs, aka pedestrians, which is such a nothing burger, while having no issue with players killing cops for some reason. Something I was not expected to see was the grifter Actman in this video. There's an Actman video I made a while back of his grifting shenanigans, so if you want to check it out, link will be down in the description.
The comment section under this video is, pretty ugly, to put it lightly.
But RE4 Remake is a masterpiece! You are worsening the gaming culture! He changed the title of the video! He has no integrity! I'm disappointed in Crowbcat. He could have gone after the other shitty buggy games everyone else already covered. But he instead dared to cover the pinkiest peak that is Resident Evil 4 Remake, you listen
The Capcom fanboys, Copium, not being able to handle their Capcom game being criticized for valid reasons is pretty accurate, I'd say. I gotta say, that's pretty accurate. Now, this part was my biggest issue with Crowbcat. Crowbcat changed the title of his previous RE4 video to balance out the likes to dislikes, which was a pussy move by him, and he doesn't refute that here. He doesn't refute it here because he can't. Why even bring it up in this video, this new video, if you're not gonna try to debunk it even? What's the point of that?
God, you are just the most unlikable, angry old man I've ever seen. You're sitting here daydreaming about your old ass PS2 game while being angry about something that's almost universally loved.
You hear that, guys? If you criticize something that was rated a 10 out of 10 by a bunch of game journalists, reviewers, who's definitely not been paid to give it a perfect rating, you're just an old boomer who has nostalgia bias. Let's just completely dig our heads under the dirt and pretend the issues with the remake doesn't exist, like the huge amount of cut content that existed in the initial game, the aggressive monetization, and etc. I can already hear the angry Capcom fanboys coping and seething in the comment section from me saying bad things about the remake, and before you accuse me of deleting comments, YouTube has an AI moderation that auto removes comments. Sometimes your comments may not even be gone, but only shows up under the newest comments section.
It really does feel like people really are putting Capcom specifically on a pedestal, right? They really are pretending these Resident Evil remakes are some of the best games ever made.
And, you know, the truth of the matter is that a lot of people haven't played the original. I mean, unless you're a boomer. That's just the reality of the situation.
I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I suppose the best way of finding out that would be to look at the sales between the two games and compare that instead of the current Steam player count. Although sales count does not take into account people that pirate or emulate the original game. The part about people putting Capcom on a pedestal is accurate. Like, they can't do anything wrong, and if you criticize their daddy Capcom, then your criticism is just nostalgia speaking, regardless of how valid a concern you make is. Capcom fanboys don't want discussions or debates, they just want to shut down any conversation, any criticism that's negative of a RE game. That's why they often say, don't like it, don't buy it, because making an argument is too tough. Making a solid argument is too tough for them. Alright then, this is the end of the video. In conclusion, guys, Resident Evil 4 Remake is just a dog shit cash grab. Rather than calling it a remake, we should call it a remilk, because it was designed for the sole purpose of milking every single penny possible, as demonstrated with the in-game store. Not to mention the lack of content compared to the original game that it was inspired by. I've seen a lot of people reacting to Crowbcat's video, huffing on the copium. He made a second video about RE4 Remake. Although Crowbcat changing the title once to RE4 Remake is a masterpiece is for sure disingenuous by Crowbcat. Despite the title change he did though, that doesn't take away from a lot of the criticism he made in this video, which Capcom fanboys seems to mind a lot, because they get butthurt that their favorite franchise, their favorite IP, gets attacked. God forbid you want a franchise you like to improve. If you liked this video, hit the like button or dislike and comment if you disagreed with what I said. If you want to, we can even debate this on my Discord server, which I've linked in my YouTube channel bio. If you really love the video, make sure to Resident Evil finish move that subscribe button. Until next time, adios amigos.
Don't ask questions, just consume product and then get excited for next products.